Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 5 of the podcast, here for another week. Today, or I should say tonight, I am speaking to my friend Max O'Connor. In this episode, we're going to speak about Max's carpentry apprenticeship, owning an own business now, and his passion, his band, Green Blanket. So, without further ado, Max, how are you?
Hey Tait, I'm good. Thanks for having me on the space deck here.
You're welcome, mate. It's good that you've come out on a chilly night.
It's crisp. It's good.
I think I'm just going to have to get you to talk up a bit more because you're hardly reading.
I can get in here. Like
get in there.
Is that better?
Lick it. That's a lot better.
That's better.
As we can see the little fucking the heartbeat. I want to make sure the people of this world get to hear what Max O'Connor has to say. All these.
I don't know if they're quite ready. Well, I think they're ready for it, but they might not want to hear it. But
they can.
That's not good advertising for you.
They can turn it off if they don't like it.
Yeah.
All right, Maxie.
Yep.
You're apprenticeship. You're a carpenter by trade.
Mm.
Did you finish high school?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did VCE, which is the Victorian certificate of whatever it is. Yeah. So yeah, I did that, and then it took about 6 months of a little break, and then went into it after that.
Did you do much on the 6 months? Did you find yourself? Did you fucking?
From my memory of it,
tits or anything?
No, I don't. I think I actually, I might have just worked for my old boy for a little bit. Actually, just chipped out there and maybe just bummed around and surfed and did nothing really too spectacular. So probably not worth talking about.
That's fair, mate. We got to get there.
No.
So you start your apprenticeship 6 months after leaving high school.
So I had now that I'm thinking about it, and you're jolting my memory.
That's what I'm here for.
I actually had my apprenticeship locked in before I finished school.
Yep.
With a builder that my dad did work for.
Yep.
And so he offered me a gig before I finished, but I wanted to finish high school.
Smart.
Come that far, may as well see it through.
So I finished halfway through year 11 and then realised I fucking hated plumbing.
Yeah.
And then, turn 30 next month and this is me. So think about your fucking, what's going to happen in life, kids.
Oh, yeah. Well, in all honesty, I didn't like school that much, to be honest. The whole system didn't work for me. As just the formula they have in place with the way they do education in this country didn't work for me as well as probably what some other systems may have, but I do understand that it's probably the best system they've got that will fit most people. Yeah,
I think with COVID now that they're realising what they can change and probably little bits and like that, what they can put in, what they don't want to do, what they can do in the future. Yeah. Maybe that will change. Maybe this will be the thing that changes schooling for the future.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's definitely the thing that with COVID-19 is that it's exposed a few things and shown a few kinks and bumps.
Don't eat bats.
Yeah,
it's the main fucking one. If it flies and it's not a duck, don't eat it.
Well, I'm not against eating bats because if you're going to eat cow and sheep, what's the difference?
Well, we worked out the difference. One, the world fucking stops. I don't know how mad cow disease goes with people eating that.
Yeah, and there's foot and mouth disease and stuff. I don't know. I think
who knows?
Yeah, look.
All I know is it was a joke.
Yeah. And bats,
but it wasn't.
I reckon bats get a bad rap.
I found a bat in here. I'll put it up on Instagram one day of me mucking around with the bat, but they are terrifying. It looks like a little fucking mouse, but real furry, and I was like, look at this fucking thing, and I was like, slowly had a screwdriver going under it, real slow, and I'm like, look at it, and then all of a sudden a wing sprouted out, and I was like, it's a bat!
You didn't realise it was a bat until you
No, it was stuck on a window frame, an old window frame.
So it was dead?
No, it was
alive?
Just snoozing, and it just went and then it flew off and then buzzed around. I'm like, fuck, it's coming back! Yeah, it's the most bogan thing you've ever heard. Man finds bat in shed. All it needed was it's in my hair! It's in my hair!
Well, in some regards, the respect I have for bats is because they're a mammal.
Okay.
And they fly, and I'd love to be able to fly, but
sonar's pretty cool too.
Yeah, but I'd rather just be able to have look and see stuff.
So you just want to be able to fly as a human.
Yeah. But
would you want wings, or would you want like Superman?
Oh look, if I had to choose, I'd go Superman because it's more slimline, and you're not trudging, and then you don't lose your arms and hands and stuff. Like a bat doesn't really have. They have hands, but it's all these big.
No, this one had hands. It was just gave me a thumbs up and then flew away.
But imagine if you had like bat hands where there's big elongated limb, digits with all this web in between. Like you can't really. I couldn't do this. I couldn't pick up a beer. Is what I just did there for the listeners at home. But
on YouTube, you sort of pick up a beer.
There is the disadvantage of having the bat wing.
Yeah. No one's about being a Batman.
Yeah.
Just a rich, what is he, a billionaire that has a little... The thing it always... And I thought about this for ages, and I think Family Guy did a thing about this of the tradies who made the Batcave and shit. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And,
not being suspicious.
Yeah, and they're not what the fuck? It's I've worked on houses and stuff doing apprenticeship, mucking around back in the day and stuff. And then if someone was just hey, we're actually, can you cut a hole out of this wall because we're actually putting in a trapdoor? You'd be like, Karen, just got a couple of questions.
But how do you know, nothing, Bruce Wayne, he seems quite capable, I guess. How do you know he didn't just fritzle the shit out of it and build his own? Or
naturally it could have been some sort of underground...
Well, it does have that waterfall entrance and stuff
I don't know what it's like in the comics. I don't know if they delve into that. There's just the first fucking 50 comics is just him in a cave fuck being a Batman!
Just doing the hard job.
Should have been the Birdman in a fucking...
Being a tree. Yeah, that's where he cut his teeth,
Yeah, maybe.
Being a tree.
That's why he was so angry.
Yeah. It's funny, Batman doesn't have powers, but he's still
he's same as Iron Man, but without the suit.
Yeah.
Well, he has a suit, but it's just not fucking...
They tech it up a little bit in the more recent films. Yeah. They sort of give it some
the old classic one of fucking... Batman is literally just a big... what's the belt called? The fucking...
The bat belt?
Yeah. And they've just got the fucking... He'll have a little throwing star, which is a bat shape. He'll just have real shitty stuff on it.
That light grey colour with the blue gloves and
stuff.
Yeah.
And then he had his little fucking sidekick Robin, which he was fucking.
Yeah.
You know that he was banging Robin, and then he was Robin was I want a relationship, and he's the best I can do is sidekick. You can be my little bitch, alright? The best I could do for you, sir, is human shield. And he was I'll take it.
No, they're both. Their connection was they're both orphans.
Was it?
Yeah.
Because
That's right. Yeah.
Anyway, I still think he was fucking him.
Yeah, well, that's
orphans can still fuck.
Good on in 2020. Good on them, We're living in the modern world, Tait.
We are fucking.
So we think.
Shed life at the moment.
So we think there might be people in 2030 that look back at this decade as being horrific.
They would have been probably in 2020. They're can you believe that back then they actually had 2 arms and 2 legs? That's fucking crazy. Now we have these bat arms.
Yeah.
And they're popping this fucking podcast. I'm what the fuck? Nostradamus?
That's where evolution takes us to just bat hands and arms. But we fly, so we cut down because all the airline companies are going under, I guess. So we need some form of flying around the joint.
True.
Why not bring in the bat wings?
It would be pretty fucking because that there's going to be ads on TV. It's don't drink and fly, and shit like that.
Now that would be fun.
Yeah, it's true, but until you clobber into a fucking...
I don't drink drive ever.
I'm
just putting that out there for the record.
It's true. I don't even drink.
I'm a responsible drinker.
Yeah. But you got to get home somehow, and if you can fly,
I just run.
Really?
Yeah, I don't mind being real. If I'm at a
we're talking about flying. I'm not endorsing drink driving at all.
Yeah, I haven't developed the use of flight just yet.
Okay.
I'm working on it.
Yeah. Well, when you get there, mate.
Yeah.
I actually thought this is what the podcast was going to be about. Max can fly, ladies and gentlemen.
Sorry to disappoint. Yeah.
All right, and we're done. Thank you.
Yeah. We were talking about an apprenticeship.
We were.
Did you?
Wait, but we're going back just 2 steps. Do you actually drink and then you'll be like, fuck it, I'm legging it home if you can? Is that
if it's within my distance.
What's your distance? What are you doing?
Oh, it'd be.
Because you were a phenomenal athlete.
No, it'd be Torquay or Jan Jack. I have ran from Belbray to Jan Jack before.
Yeah.
So that was, I don't know what.
I've walked.
Slowly.
Drunk, but no.
But it's kind of fun. It's so busy.
It does. It really. And you actually never have hangovers or anything because I've just burnt everything out of my body. I'll get home and start drinking. So sore. I'm like, need a beer.
I don't want to come across as an absolute booze pig. Not that I got nothing against that, but I suffer very bad hangovers.
That is the curse of the O'Connors, is the hangover.
Yeah, it's not a. It means, like, I always think
crazy.
It means you earn your drink the night before.
True.
Because you suffer the
I can just do it willy-nilly. It just goes into my fat, and then it just stays there.
The next day.
And then I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, God, I'm hungry. But you're like, I'm not eating for 3 days.
I
can't see. I can't feel my bad hands.
I feel it's death. Death comes a knocking every time.
It does, really. It's for the people who don't know, the O'Connor family, and I don't know if it's just you boys or if it goes all the way through everyone, but you guys, I don't know if Jake's is bad, but definitely Chad's fucking...
Yeah,
he's
Chad
on the death.
suffers.
He's on the death boat.
And my old boy suffers pretty bad these days. And actually, I think he always kind of did a little bit, but
that shows the true fucking like testament to like, I know it's gonna fucking hurt tomorrow, but I'm gonna push through.
I think it's typically when the social environment is, because I just love the social aspect of catching up with friends and family and stuff, which I think is very important, particularly with what's going on at the minute. Like, that stuff is really where you can.
Can change very quickly. We've realised that we're not invincible and shit can just go, hello, and we're like, fuck.
Yeah, exactly. I think human beings as a whole, we're this arrogant beast of a thing, really.
Yeah.
And it's good.
We've got drugs that keep us going.
Yeah.
We've got fucking this, that. We've got everything to keep, like, people are just growing older and older. It's gross.
It is gross. And I think a lot of people see what happens.
Someone's like, I'm nearly 90. Like,
only 90.
What? I'm like, you shouldn't be working at McDonald's. Like, just give up.
I'm a believer in age is irrelevant.
Okay.
So it's not so much age is just the number we put to things, but a human can be.
That's a quote from a pedophile.
Yeah, no, you went there, not me. But like, if you are 90 and you're still doing stuff,
it's
and
impressive.
no one's wiping your ass.
But if you're 90 and you've been fucked since you were 70, and you just sit down in a seat and you're like,
alive.
Is it easier just to like, listen, let's bring in the medicinal pillow and knock these motherfuckers out?
Well,
it's a hard one because you'll get exploited.
But yeah, exactly.
If you've got money to your name, the kids are like, he's fucked, and they're like, I'm 60. We're in my house right now. You're talking to me. Sorry.
Yeah, true. I hadn't thought about that, but bloody oath. But I don't know. I think a lot of people look at the person that is, on their deathbed, and everyone always goes, "Oh, if that happened to me, don't let me be in that position." Everyone's like that. But yet, it seems like when the shoe's on the other foot, they sort of shit themselves.
I want to live forever.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of cool getting to 100, but I know that I would be fucked. Like, I turn 30 next month, and I'm already like, I'm going away from shoes, guys. The old closed foot fucking shoe, because it's just too hard putting them on.
It's funny. I feel younger than what I did 3 years ago.
Yeah, but you're an athletic. You're just that type of fucking dude that just gets younger. I'll be like, hey, Max, how you going? You're like doing chin-ups and shit.
No, it's
Did you run here?
No. But like, it's this stress makes me feel old.
Yeah, well, we're going to you having the business.
It's funny how you went straight away.
Because I mean, if you don't have stress and you're in a business, it's either you don't give a fuck about it, or it's killing. You know what I mean? You got to that point.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard not to stress. I find I'm pretty impressed with people who are like, I don't really stress much.
You can care and not stress.
Yeah.
And you can do both. It just takes a while to figure it out.
Yes.
How to get to that point.
Work is not life and stuff like that.
Yeah, and just like, I guess for me, I try to do a really good job.
Yeah.
Like I genuinely care about doing a good job.
Yeah.
Like I do have pride in what I do.
Did you, from memory, and I could be fucking absolutely wrong, did you, when you did your apprenticeship, we actually haven't got into that yet, did you win a couple of like apprentices of like the year or whatever that shit is? Did you get that?
At the Gordon.
Yeah, which is still something. Like, you've obviously got some sort of either knack or you do, as you said, take care of, like, pride in your work.
Yeah.
And you did get recognition from an early age. So if you've got good tendencies from an 18-year-old that they probably have carried...
To care.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of fucking apprentices... Can't say I cared too much when I was doing an apprenticeship.
I don't want to diss it too much, but the competition in the... Not that it was... I didn't look at it as a competition at the time. I just did my thing, but I was in... Like, when I was 18, or... Yeah, it would have been 18 and a half, something like that. And there was some kids in there that were a lot younger than me, like maybe 16.
Yeah.
And they just weren't really... It was a different thing for them. Like, I was doing it because I wanted to be there.
Yeah.
Some people just...
That's good that you actually enjoyed it.
Yeah, I for the most part, I did enjoy my apprenticeship. There were aspects that were definitely... I wanted to throw it in the... You know, because you do sometimes get treated a bit poorly.
Yeah.
Or it's like a bit of a, you know, a initiation sort of bullshit.
Yeah,
where you have to
it's
do the hardest and
yeah.
worst jobs. So that sometimes, but that's fine. Like, someone's got to do it, you know.
True.
And you are...
You can't be expected to go in there and do, like, the easy shit, I suppose. And that, I suppose it is a bit of a test as a boss to be like, let's see what he's made of, what she's made of. Can they get through this, you know, time? And if they do, like, I've got more respect for them, and if the shit hits the fan, we can do this.
I will say that one thing I took a lot of things from my apprenticeship. One thing I learnt from my boss of that time to what I try to do now is when there is a difficult job to be done, you are the one, as the boss, you are the one to do it.
So it's on your shoulders.
Or at least be in there with them doing it. So you're not just getting your crew to do the worst job all the time.
Yeah.
And my boss, a lot of the time when there was a bad job to be done, he was involved in some of the harder aspects of it, which I always had respect for that, because otherwise I think you probably won't be respected as the boss. You know? I don't really like the term boss, by the way. Like,
what do you, Mein Führer or fucking
dictator? Yeah, all that sort of stuff. I don't know.
God?
I guess I just don't see myself as a boss.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Just like a co-worker.
Some people like to get the power trip of, you know,
yeah,
I'm the boss, hear me roar,
but they're kind of dickheads.
Come here, Robin.
They're, like, in the building world, there are a lot of egotistical dickheads.
I think in the trades industry in Australia, because tradespeople in Australia get paid really well, and we I wouldn't say idolise, but there's nothing wrong with, like, let's say a girl, for example, she brings home a plumber or an electrician to meet mum and dad. They're like, "Ooh, he's a plumber or a sparky." You know what I mean? In other countries, I feel like they're like fucking low life tradie, whereas Australia, they're like, "How do you do, sir?"
I'll tell you what, though,
Southern gentleman.
There is, like, I definitely get where you're coming from there, but I reckon the times have changed in that some, and not this, like, you know, I'm generalising here, because there's good and bad within anything. Yeah. But to have certain skill, like physical skill sets, is a pretty desired thing in this modern day, because it's becoming rarer and rarer, especially...
Being good with your hands too is it's one of those ones where you really take for granted. The things that I learned in my apprenticeship, that obviously there's millions of things that I can't do. Plumbing, like, I just don't need to do, and I don't have the use to do it. But little things of, like, measuring and cutting straight and screwing,
the mathematics
and holding, like, this point here so that it doesn't bend here. Little things like that are ingrained in my head. It's like, I can put up this little painting or fucking... It as dumb as it fucking sounds. And then, like, I'd probably say my older brother, who's never really been a hands-on person in that, he would probably be like, I'll just pay for someone to do it. You know, and that's... But I think he's happy to also keep someone in a job.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah,
He's like,
and
there's that service there. I've got the disposable income to pay for it.
Yeah,
yeah.
And that's
whereas I ain't paying those fucks.
Yeah,
you know.
Well, I am that one that. Not that I don't want to pay people, but I always feel as though
you can have a crack,
especially if it's my own house.
Yeah,
because then it's
doing the gas, just like
Yeah. Sometimes
see them pretty sleepy over there, Cara.
Yeah.
The carbon monoxide. Don't worry.
Yeah, like look, some things I just feel as though are straightforward enough to figure out, and I guess with the apprenticeship that I did, and
that's one of the best ones, I reckon. A carpentry apprentice.
Yeah.
You can learn so much shit and naturally on the job if you do everything. It's like, I watched them plaster. I watched them paint.
Yeah.
I watched them...
They are on site longer than any other trade, really. Yeah. And my boss, back in the day, we were really fortunate that we did a bit of, like, plumbing, concreting, steel fabrication. Like, there's a fair bit that we also just did.
Yeah.
And for him, I guess it cost him less to get us to do it, but it also meant that we got to learn a bit about that. So it was good for both ends of the, for him and us.
Yeah.
So I'm really thankful that I did my apprenticeship with someone like that.
Yeah. So when you did your apprenticeship, you did from the start of the house to the finish of the house, or did you do renovations or anything? No,
we did mainly new builds.
So would you be on a job for nearly like a year or 18 months of your apprenticeship might be on the one job?
Yeah, and they were the best ones. For anyone out there that and it's hard to find the right crew that will allow this to happen because the game has changed.
Yeah, so you have like a framer, then you'll have like fucking this and then...
That's more in a commercial and even the flat... what do they call it?
Like Simmons Homes and stuff.
Your bulk
commercial. What are they called? Bulk build?
Bulk building. Yeah, that style. That's very much like that. But if you're going to...
They're just busted them out.
Oh yeah, and that's just about speed.
Yeah.
But there's a saying in it's what is it? It's a bird dog or whatever, like cheap, rough.
Ah.
And there's three elements.
Never heard that.
You can have there's speed, there's
cocaine.
No, it's speed, cost, and quality.
Okay.
You can't have all three.
Yeah.
You just got to find someone that can give you the two that you want.
Yeah.
So if you want like good quality, typically it's either going to cost more, and if you want it done, typically you can't do the best quality and do it super quick.
No.
Like you just there's a fine line there.
Especially when it's like when it can be so precise, and it's probably more going into what you're doing now, but we'll touch on that being precise with measurements and stuff, and if you do it wrong, you're like, ooh, fuck, I'm going to do this whole thing again. And you're wasting money. That's the shit that I probably, we'll touch on it, but it's obviously the challenges of owning your own business, and you realise that this is hurting your pocket now.
Yeah. Money is something I definitely put to the back of my mind until, I guess, that it becomes very dire.
Yeah.
Then it might stress me out a bit, but I find that the best thing for me mentally and productively is to not think about money at all. And to be honest, I'm not very. It doesn't motivate me.
Yeah.
Much
See, is it because it doesn't motivate you, and you have faith in your end product that you like? It's gonna. I know what I'm doing. We're gonna get it. They're gonna be happy with it.
There is that.
And I'm gonna end up getting more work because.
It's definitely that. I feel as though you treat people kind through the process.
Yeah.
You listen to people, and then you do the best you possibly can. It will speak for itself at the end of it.
Yeah.
So that's one aspect that I try to always keep in mind. And then the other one is, I don't know, I kind of feel as though I've got everything I could possibly ever ask for. So I don't need money.
Besides bat wings.
Yeah, except for like when the surgery is available, then I'll be saving up. But, I don't need a lot to have fulfillment in life.
That's good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think those people who, obviously we'll talk about your band stuff, but I feel like that's the trap where you'll find celebrities and stuff, this go pretty dark pretty quick, but where they end up killing themselves and stuff like that because they didn't have fulfillment before they were famous, and they thought when they got famous and they were successful, they would have all the fulfillment that they needed.
Yeah.
But then they realised, oh, actually, a watch is a watch. It still tells the time.
Yeah.
My house still keeps me dry. There's just more rooms.
Yeah.
I've got fucking more problems. I've got more external pressure, internal pressure, all that type of stuff. And they're like, see a world, bang. You know what I mean? So it's like,
it's pretty sad.
if you're content with it from the beginning, before you have stuff, then I feel like you're going to be content when you actually do have that stuff, which is a great thing for yourself.
And I am very fortunate that I can pay, as much as I hate rates and rent and mortgages and all that, like I can just afford that and tick along.
Yeah.
And it's just getting that balance of being able to live and work and not feel as though one dominates the other.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've ever had this situation that I can really remember, apart from when you're a child or something. But I know some people that have had the opposite, where they've got an abundance of free time up their hands, and then they lose a sense of purpose.
Yeah.
So it is a tricky. You can't have, like, as much as I dream about just having days on end of just doing whatever the hell I want.
Yeah.
I'm sure if I was put in that position, I'd probably lose that sense of purpose. Maybe.
I mean, right now, that is my life.
Yeah.
I'm not working, and I haven't worked in a fair while. So I don't know if I've ever touched on this, but I hurt my arm in Canada. I had some like little tears in my forearm, like in a tendon. Took ages to heal. And it was just, it's annoying. It's one of those things that people can't see, and you walk normal and you do everything normal. But they don't know when you go to pick something up that you're like, fuck, that hurts. And then everyone's just like, why are you working? Why aren't you doing this? But now I'm fine. And then COVID fucking struck, and I'm like, the government's giving me this money, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to start a podcast.
And also, like, you're a comedian. Now, that's a creative industry, and anything that's in the arts is, it's got its difficulties with making a living out of it.
Yeah, but I would never, I refer to myself as more of an open mic comic. The people who know fucking comedy, they would know that's, in other words, amateur. Like, I've got paid from gigs. I've been paid more in gigs in the short time, I think, than a lot of people, just because I've had great connections. Yeah. And I've done a lot of sporting clubs and stuff like that.
I find you funny. Doesn't
I mean, that's all I'm going for. Yeah. But yeah, it's going back to having a lot of free time and losing yourself. I find that my every week, month that goes by, it's you getting up an hour later and going to bed an hour later as well. Yeah. Does that make sense? So, all of a sudden you're getting up at midday and you're like, I'm having lunch at 2:00, and it's just a weird cycle. Yeah. And you do kind of, and one of the good things about lately has been doing this podcast. So like, I'm kind of like, I think about doing that, and I can, how do I do this? But it's such a minute thing, you know what I mean? That's, but it's still way to keep creative. Yeah. Because I haven't been writing any stand-up really, just little bits and pieces.
Man, if you can just like do something each day that fulfills that artistic void that we all have. Yeah. I find that very fulfilling in its own
I think it's as simple as for some people just going for a surf or a run or a fucking jerk it off, I don't know. Yeah. We were just chatting about being content, and I was just saying that I'm not working at the moment, and the days do run away when you're not doing anything.
Tempus fugit.
Yes, and as you just mentioned, how is that relative to yourself? Good sir.
Well, tempus fugit is, I'm probably pronouncing that poorly, but it's Latin.
For my 6 viewers, like, this man's a genius.
Yeah. Latin for time flies, which I just thought was relevant, because, time does fly, and you got to make life worth living.
It does. It really does, though, because 10 years ago, I was in South America with your little brother and your oldest brother as well, which is pretty crazy. And now Jake's married, kid, Chad's having his first child.
That happens.
Yeah, so I mean, and I turned 30. It's like there's a big difference, I think, between 20 and 30. All of a sudden, like 20, you are young. Yeah. I look at 20-year-olds now and stuff like that, and I'm like, geez, you're like 4 years ago you were 16. You know what I mean? Like, that's how my brain, it always just takes something back to like, only this amount ago you were that. If that makes sense?
Do you like the sense of getting older though. I do.
I don't mind it. I like that all my friends are settled. I
Yeah.
like that all my friends, like a lot of my close friends and stuff like that, married or had a long time partner, houses, all that type of stuff. So I really enjoy that. It's more of a selfish reason, to be honest, that I don't have to be the center of attention.
Yeah.
So I've always probably been the guy with the funny guys, you would say, and the fat guy as well. I've always had that. Then it was kind of like, oh, you got to come out. You got to come out and do something with us. You know, like a bit of entertainment.
Yeah.
But now it's kind of like
because you are funny as.
Thanks.
Yeah.
He's not lying. but now I can do my own thing, and it allowed me to go to the UK for like fucking I was 18 months all up, like when I did traveling. I did 18 months in Canada.
Yeah.
You know, I did 7 months. Well, that was early days, but 7 months in South America and stuff like that. So I've been pretty blessed in myself to
you got
do the
freedom, man.
Yeah. Whereas my mates, some of them have had partners. You know, Jake, perfect example.
Yeah.
Pretty much as soon as he got back, within 6 months to a year, whatever it was, he started seeing his wife now, Annie. And you know that's his path.
Yeah.
Whereas mine was like just a fucking. Nomad truck.
We've all got our own path to.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And if you're happy, you're happy.
Exactly. Yeah, and happiness cannot be measured. It just honestly can't. There's no measurement to how happy someone is or isn't.
Or successful.
Yeah, exactly. It's all a little bit subjective, that. But I think
everything's a lot more subjective than we think, isn't it?
Oh.
You know, you could right now be like, oh, you're really funny, and you just like fuck it, like it's. Other people would be like, no, he's not.
Yeah,
he's a scumbag.
Yeah.
And then you could, like, you know, if you're with a partner and she's like, I just find you really handsome. And you're like, the rest of the world doesn't. Like, it's very, very subjective, that type of shit.
Well, like, I guess it's like how far you want to go about, like, the consciousness, each person's consciousness is their own.
True.
And no one else can ever have that. So, like, you know.
No one is ever the same. You know,
no.
Like,
man, like it's a.
And I would not want another one of these. I'm pointing myself.
Another little mini Tait run around.
Like if I had, I always think to myself, like when people are like, oh, you know, I just want to find someone like myself, and then that in like their partner, and I would be like, oh, choke that motherfucker to death. I don't want two of me. Like I want the opposite. You know, and be like.
And sometimes opposites attract. That's the other thing. You know,
it's true. It's how long they attract for.
I find that when you bring up kids and people that go down because I am
breeders as we call them.
Yeah. I got not like I really like kids. I find them really fun and entertaining and really interesting as well, the way their brains work and stuff. But I'm probably not going to have a kid just because my partner does not want to have children, and that's cool with me.
Well, that's the thing. That's one of those ones where. It can be a deal breaker where someone goes, I love you, but I want this. I'm going that direction. Whereas you gone like, you know what, you're what matters to me.
And I used to think it was kind of a selfish attitude to have, but then I realised it's actually not a selfish attitude. Like some people have kids for very selfish reasons.
Yeah,
they want to pass on their genes.
That's
pretty egotistical.
It's pretty insane. Pass on their genes. They want to make someone happy, you know, like...
I want to live longer than I'm going to
live. Like, vicariously through someone else. The amount of people that... This is pretty crazy. If you could go back in time, like, old version of yourself could visit the young version of yourself, and you knew what you had to say as the old version, if you said it to the young one, they would listen to it. You know what I mean? So if you went back and be like, hey, listen, remember Mark? Yeah. We end up marrying him. I know too. He was a fuckwit. And also, it's my dad's name. We have 3 kids together. Same as my dad. Do we want to fucking, you know, like, it doesn't work out. He cheats on me. Same as my dad. But you go like, you know what I mean? You're sitting back as a, 20-year-old or something, whatever it is, going like, this is what's going to happen in the fucking future. Yeah. But that person probably doesn't know, like, how much you love children. How much you love your own children. I mean, I just pretty much rolled over my theory then. Yeah. I'm like, well, that one doesn't fucking know. I answered my own fucking question.
Yeah, well, that's not bad.
But in saying that, it would be interesting to see if a lot of people would have children or not have them, if they could. They could, let's say they don't go back in time and they could just be like, I give you the ability to fucking take this injection and then your kids dissolve and you get to, you know.
I don't want to meet the person that would agree to that because that's pretty.
They're coming on the show!
Look, I don't want to judge too much, but they shouldn't be parents if that's
what I mean. And a lot of people are never ever going to admit that, but I guarantee there's more people than you think out there that would be like, you know what, I had children for the wrong reasons, and now I don't like it.
I've heard a lot of people complain about their children to me. I won't name names, and a variety of people I know well and don't know well, sort of thing.
So the people you don't know well are just like, my kids are fucking shit. And you're just
I've heard, exactly. They'll just start talking about it. I'm like, I don't even know you, and you're like dissing all your kids and stuff. But then at the same time, they'll finish the conversation with, they're just so, like, I wouldn't have it any other way. You know,
like are you sure?
Yeah, is that just a defense mechanism?
Because for the first 15 minutes you just said that you wouldn't mind chucking them in a wood chipper.
Yeah.
But then when I made a bit of a frown, you backtracked pretty quick.
Well, I think some people probably go into parenthood underestimating that it's
very hard.
You are metamorphosizing who you are to be a parent. You can't be who you currently are, then have another human, and then expect to just be the same person that has a human that's relying on you.
If you're a good parent.
Yeah, true.
I mean, there's a lot of parents out there who are just like, you're just another fucking
even the bad ones, it'll still affect their life. You know.
Yeah, it depends for how long. If they're like, he's 3 years old, he can look after the other one.
There'd be extreme versions where it's like you put the kid in the bundle and send it down a river or something. You know, that's like the extreme.
I'm always the extreme.
Yeah.
I'm going to send you down a fucking river, man.
Yeah. But I don't know, I just find, I don't know, it's there's so many varieties of parents and children and all this sort of thing. Like, you never know that because some kids are really delightful, and then some are just kind of bad. Like, not bad,
and they can be brothers.
Just like exactly.
You're in the same fucking family.
There are.
And you're just like, you are the fucking. I always found this a weird thing, salt of the earth. Apparently, that's good. But I feel like if you salt the earth, nothing grows.
Yeah, I don't know.
So where does that? I don't know where that comes from.
Yeah, good question. I actually don't even know where that's.
I always thought it was bad, and then I met this chick when I was in like fucking Thailand, and she was always like, Tait, he's the salt of the earth. And
hopefully one of your viewers can
or we can just Google it.
Yeah, no, don't. I tell you what I love doing is not Googling.
Yeah.
And trying to figure it out.
It has ruined my lying ability.
Yeah.
Like, people are like, hang on a minute, fucking Michael Jackson's not alive. You're like, shucks.
Or like, I was talking to a friend, Mats, who's my Cara, my girlfriend. It's her brother.
Yep.
And he and I have got to know each other pretty well over the last couple of years. We're pretty good mates. But we're talking about like esoteric things.
What is esoteric? Because I'm gonna not lie. I don't know what that is.
It's something that's kind of you need to have a certain amount of knowledge to appreciate something that's quite niche. I guess.
Yeah.
So it's a bit wanky.
Yeah,
but
that makes a lot of sense.
But there's a non-wanky side to it.
Yeah.
And
like you can do that for everything. Like say
exactly
woodworking. And
exactly.
People are like, I use this type of lacquer, and you're like,
people that love timber and stuff. You know, it's a variety. It can account for anything. It's not just
pretty
like,
much. Yeah.
It's not just like types of footwear or something.
I mean, people if they're watching this podcast are probably going like, he's got like the podcaster fucking the pod mic from Rode fucking XO 77111, and I'm like, I don't give a fuck as long as I can hear it.
But like what I like the esoteric nature of being able to try and combat Google, where Google can't come up with an answer because it's not quite. There's not enough data collected for data.
But Google still will send you to a forum where it will be like forum of fucking like. It's like fucking hermit crabs and why they're beautiful.
Half the stuff you're looking up on Google though is just like but it's like it's stuff that's like what was that celebrity in that movie? It's just stuff that's dumb. You don't need to know it.
It just goes no, I'm not gonna say that. It usually goes, what's this actress name? Blah blah blah. Topless.
How many porno flicks she did.
Like, did she ever get her tits out? She did. It's a real actor there.
Anyway, what were we talking
all right, we'll go into... I feel like you've summed up your apprenticeship. You enjoyed it. You were lucky enough to work from
and it
start
was a
to
little
finish.
while ago, mind you.
Yeah, how many years ago?
Jesus, I probably finished it maybe 8 years. No, more than that. Yeah, maybe 8 years ago I finished it.
Yeah.
7, 8 years ago, something like that.
And now you're obviously... We'll just jump straight into it. So you went into the, what did I say, joinery?
Joinery,
yeah. As a carpenter, went into the joinery business.
Yeah.
It was originally your dad's business.
Yes, and this is like one of my blind spots that I like get, not defensive, but I just like setting the record straight is because I don't like
you're literally setting the record straight.
I don't like the idea
this is being recorded.
Yeah, I know. I don't like being I don't like the idea of being a trust fund kid, which I am not.
Yeah.
So I bought the business. I didn't pay for the bloody thing.
Yeah.
But
it wasn't given to you.
No.
And he wasn't. The idea wasn't to give it to you or anything. Was
no,
it? It was just circumstance, and he was like, "Do you want it?" And you're like,
"It was never lined up for me to buy." They just
Was there other buyers?
Oh, not really. They had a little bit of interest, but the clock was ticking down for them departing.
Yeah.
And the business selling, and then it kind of and it wasn't even on my radar, and I was just like, well, maybe I'll buy it, and then it just like grabbed a bit of traction.
And they were like, "Haha, Max, you're larrikin.
Yeah, I know.
Just take your skateboard and fuck off." And you're like, "All right."
Yeah, they're like, "Sucker, we'll sell this. We'll sell this to this sucker." But the thing that I was really like, number one, I didn't have to I got it at a very reasonable price.
Yep.
And I was able to pay it off over a fairly... They didn't give me a strict date, but I have paid it off, which was a really big... I think the day that I kind of paid it off, big weight off my shoulders, and I was able to stress less.
Well, at least you knew it was making enough money to be able to pay it off.
Yeah. So that was kind of... Yeah, like you said, it was a very last-minute, spontaneous sort of decision, but some of the big decisions you make in life are done that way, It depends how methodical you are.
Well, some things come up and you like pop up in your lap, and you're like, it's either like shit or get off the pot. You know what I mean? It's a crude one, but it's like this opportunity's probably not going to be there for you if you didn't take it.
No,
you know what I mean? And you decided to.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
You are still enjoying it?
I'm actually enjoying it more than I ever have.
Okay.
So a little while, probably 2 years ago, I was like, if this is the way it is, and the business was like ticking over, and it's like it's just very stressful, very demanding, and I just felt like I was becoming less and less of a human being, and more just this like slave to the machine,
Just working too much.
Yeah, and it's like, am I meant to be the boss here, or am I just like meant to be a cog as a part of this thing? And I kind of got pretty over it, and I wasn't the happiest person probably at those times, but I was still, very privileged position to be in still, so I never took it for granted, but now it's just like a different, I look at it differently now. Yeah. And that's just time that does that.
Is it also you have like, the routine, like, I do ABC and then X, Y, Z is going to fall into place?
Nah, there is no routine.
Okay.
There's methods that you can use, but the routine, there is no routine, because you got to be like malleable. You got to be able to like move to each day, and I like each day being like that. There's that classic thing where you got to sort of live in the moment as much as possible, but you got to plan ahead. Otherwise, living in the moment is horrible. So you got to sort of plan ahead a little bit and then live in the moment as much as possible, which means just being a bit flexible and malleable within your day. But we definitely like have a schedule. Yeah. But we're not.
Let's start at 1 tomorrow, guys.
Yeah. There is like, I'm talking quite broadly here. But, there definitely, and we plan our weeks and stuff like that. But over the course of the day, you got to be able to like move to what's happening, because.
And I suppose I'm going back to those routines, but I suppose with some things you just know how they work. You know what I mean? You're like, okay, like, because I worked with you for a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, it was whatever it was.
Yeah.
And, I think...
time.
Yeah. When you were like, I think at the time you were renting a truck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and I remember you wanted to rent the truck for the next day, and they're like, we're out, Chair. And you're like, fuck!
Yeah.
Because you don't have the truck. Whereas now you know that, okay, now I need 2 days. Well, that might have just been about that. This is just my example.
Yeah.
But now you know that, okay, I might not get it tomorrow. So I need to do whatever it may be.
Well, yeah, and it's just finding what work. Yeah, because I remember that, and I had to then seek a different rental company and stuff. I actually, because
why my brain remembered that.
Yeah.
That's such an innocuous thing.
It was something I probably forgot completely until you just jolted it there. But in that, and they're the little things in just being a business owner is what works for you and what you want out of it. Because a lot of businesses would look at my model and go, well, that's dumb. Because I kind of my model is the model I have, and I'm happy with it. Yeah. Which is a small crew, manageable. Try to keep the overheads, even though in Australia things just cost a lot. Rent is expensive and all that, and then the idea of getting a factory is very daunting and all that sort of thing. But keeping the overheads smaller than what a lot of other people are allows me to have freedom, I guess, to then just live my life a little bit.
Well, if your overheads are less, obviously you can make less money, but you don't have to make we have to make a certain amount of money to pay for just this shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas you're I get to tick along.
And quality control is a bit more manageable with smaller crew.
What is your crew?
Well, it's 2 full-time.
Yep.
And then myself, then Cara.
Yep.
And then I have about 3 or 4 subcontractors when we're really busy for installation and things like that. And that's kind of it,
Yeah. And that's how it's always been?
The most people I had full-time would have been, including myself and Cara, would have been about 6.
Yeah.
And that didn't last too long because I got pretty over it.
Yeah.
And it just, I found the quality was harder to get on top of. There was just too many mistakes or things that I didn't like the way it was done by my crew. And then I had to go rectify it myself. And then all of a sudden that takes away from what you should be doing. Yeah, true. And a lot of time was lost. And it was not productive for me.
What do you... So let's say we'll backtrack again, I guess. Yeah. So you've purchased the business off your old man. You've started the business. I assume that you got to meet the people that were working there.
Yeah, I knew them before.
Yeah, and you'd worked there before, so you kind of knew
I'd worked there before when I was really... No, I'd never worked for my dad. Okay. I only ever had helped out. Okay.
So the tax man, he never worked there?
No, I never worked there, but as a 15-year-old or 16-year-old, you might help your dad out on a weekend. So I did that. Yeah. I never actually worked in the factory. And I might have done a few summer holidays, just giving a chop out there, or school holidays or something. So that was all teenager stuff. Yeah. But I knew some of the guys that worked there purely just through my dad was, the previous owner and stuff. Yeah. And then I guess...
Because a lot of people buy businesses and they're like, once I buy this business, you're fucking out. You know what I mean? The previous employees are like, I want my own chow.
I kind of see that a little bit. I just figure if someone's good at what they do, why not give them a job? Yeah. Yeah. But I know my model is, I feel as though from what I see around the place and how other people operate, my model, it works for me in certain aspects, and there's aspects that it doesn't, but it's definitely different to a lot of other people. A lot of other people are more probably money driven. Yep. Mine is minimal stress and enjoy life. Yeah. But I'm not a slacker. I do work pretty hard.
So when you're there, you're there.
Yeah.
When you're not, you're not.
I try not to.
Trying to turn it off. Because I've noticed with you, when I'd see you on the weekend and stuff, and I'm like, how's work, Max? And you'd be like, yeah, it's good, Tait, yeah. And that's pretty much it. You know what I mean? Yeah. You're not that person who'd be like, this fuckhead working for me. I got this is fucked up. Bought a nail gun, shot myself in the dick. Then this fucking the cat ran away. Who the fuck left the door open, Tait? Wasn't fucking me. I'm like, oh, cool, Max. Yeah. A beer, mate. But you've always been very work's done. I'm out.
Yeah, you got to be able to switch. That's definitely been something that's been beneficial for me in recent times, in particular. is just being able to go, you know, and I think a big one for me was the realisation that, you know, time flies.
Yeah.
You know, life is kind of short, so you got to not waste away doing something that you don't want to be doing all the time.
True.
See ya.
Some larrikin fucking driving around out there.
But you know, like you got to. Yeah, it's a cliche, but the work-life balance.
Yes.
And some people are happy to work more, earn more, and have more things.
Yeah.
I learned, early on.
I think you've got a really healthy way of looking at it, because I've worked in plumbing supplies and I've worked at a hardware store. And I remember plumbers coming in that were like maybe 65, close to 70, whatnot. And they're like, the other guy who's been working at the store, you know, that I work in, my co-worker, he's like, I've been here for 25 years. And he's like, that guy's been coming in for 25 years. And then he was probably coming in for 25 years before. Like, crazy, just been working forever.
Yeah.
And they're like coming in on weekends and they're doing this.
They might love it though.
They're all hot-headed and they're like, fucking... And they're making really, really good money because you're just giving them shit all the time. But they either retire and fucking die quick because work's all they knew, it's all they had, and their brain's just like just turns off, or all of a sudden they get fucking sick, unforeseen thing, whatever it is, prostate cancer, and they fucking die, and they had all these fucking grand plans for when they retired, never lived a real fucking day. The saddest thing I saw, and tradies are pretty open because you see them so much. You might see them every day for like fucking a couple of years if you're working there. It just becomes a hot spot. They come in, they get a coffee, I'll have a couple of fucking 90 bends or something. And that's as simple as it is, man. But then they'll come in there and they'll chat about shit and you're like, fucking... I'm working on the weekend because fucking... I'm just sick of my fucking wife. If I'm at home, I'm fighting with her and you're like, Jesus
that's not healthy.
Christ. You know what I mean? Like, and they work crazy hours because they don't like being at home with their wives. Or even their kids. One of the funniest things I ever heard was a guy came in, and I knew he was joking because I knew him and went to school with like his kids and stuff. And someone goes like, "Steve, how you going, mate?" And he's like, "Well, the wife's a bitch, his son's a fuckwit, my daughter's a slut. Gotta love it." Jesus. And then he was literally just fucking, he was joking because I know his family and he just did it for a rise because everyone's the complete opposite. Because his son comes into work and we knew his son as well. And then I knew his daughter because I went to school with that, like complete opposite from that. And then even I remember his fucking wife dealing with them like primary school and stuff, really loving, nice lady and stuff. But he knew how to play the game. And he just did it just to muck around.
And there is that with the tradie world, that blokey bloke.
It is. Never say that in front of fucking his family. Probably wouldn't even say that with his son that he works every day with. You know what I mean? But just when he gets the chance, he'll have that little laugh. A little shock. But that was just, it really got me. It just, for some reason, he just said it so cool, calm and collected, and it was just straight off the top. Just like, fucking, wife's a bitch, daughter's a slut, son's a fuckwit.
It's funny, what you're touching on there is just like
abuse.
But just like you know, but we don't want to talk about COVID too much, but before COVID, I thought that just, you know, you hear, because you do deal with a lot of different people coming and going with any business. And it was just amazing. I felt like everyone was stressed. Everyone I spoke to was stressed. Didn't have enough time in the day. And didn't know what to do about it. Like, everyone.
It's like, God, I'd love a pandemic.
But you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, well, if everyone's in this boat, why don't we just like...
go back a bit.
Just stand up for a second and go, hang on, this model isn't working for people. How about we do a different model, you know?
It's true.
But people feel stuck. They just get stuck in the way they live.
It's pretty easy to, as you said, time flies too. And if people get into that, like, little routine and they can see money coming in and things like that, it's pretty easy to be like, no, we've got a good way of living, I can see it building, and then all of a sudden it's like, when are we going to go on that holiday? And then their wife's like, that was 6 years ago. And we're going to go to Mexico, but you were like, I've got to do this job on the weekend or in a month's time. and then it's 6 years later. Like it's very easy to lose track of time.
And I think people feel. I think it's just the way society is built around everyone as well. Because you are born into a world that you don't control. Like that's at the end of the day. And I think a lot of people sort of feel as though they have to be doing this way of life.
Yeah.
Which is absolute bullshit. You can just pick whatever. Everyone's got a choice. And
Sure.
I see it all the time where everyone's got like all these toys, a full garage to the brim, all these cars, all this shit.
Podcasts.
In fact, they'll have their cars blocking the fucking motorbikes, blocking the jet skis, blocking the surfboards, blocking all the shit to get to the fucking surfboard. They've got to remove all that other crap. And it's just like, why do you even have all that stuff that you never even use and yet you work your tits off for it? It's just, I find it ludicrous, but most people fall into that trap.
Yeah, no, it's
in this country,
very, very common. And I think it's because disposable income, as I've talked about a few times, we do get paid pretty well.
I don't always think it is disposable income. I think a lot of people live in eyeballs level of debt.
You reckon?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, particularly...
I get that with houses, because a lot of people... And then maybe it is people are just putting the loan...
cars and stuff like that,
yeah.
You know what I mean? They'll have a Mercedes that's worth like 150 grand.
Yeah, it's very strange.
And they lease it.
It's very strange when you know people, their situation, and then they've got like crazy shit, and you're like, do you steal money from work? Because pretty much I know what you get paid, and you can't have that shit.
Yeah. And I don't like, we're sounding a bit judgmental, and we are.
And that's the podcast.
Yeah.
Tait talks judgmental.
But, I'd love to just be able to... I don't know, I'd love for people to sometimes... And I don't know, who am I, but...
Mexico.
Yeah. But it's more like...
What I was saying, for the people who are listening to this podcast, the camera that I have only films for 29 minutes and 59 seconds, so it decides to die, and then, or I jump up before it dies, and then I have to pause this. So if it sounds a bit wacky, I apologise, but that's why it does it every 28, 29 minutes when I remember, just so people on YouTube can see the full video. As I was saying that, you were saying that you got to go for your stuff if you want to in your life. There's nothing holding you back. I'm pretty sure. A lot of my mates always say like,
except for batlings.
It's true. That's kind of fun.
Can't always get those.
My mates have always told me that you enjoy doing stand up, you should pursue it and try and make it a career, a professional career. Because I do enjoy it, but I've never really. I started in 2014, and I've done 47 gigs.
Yeah.
Which is not much. When I've got mates I'll have people in the future who are really, really pursuing this, that do it 200 times a year.
Yeah.
And that's...
Yeah.
And I've done it. It was 2014 when I first started, and this is 2020. And I've had nothing holding me back.
Yeah.
It's just pure laziness.
Yeah.
Realistically. So it is one of those ones where you are right. Nothing is holding you back to a certain degree that you've got beside yourself, I guess. You've got to be the one who goes, I'm going to do this. And if you want to quit your trade, or keep doing a trade, or quit your job to become a tradesperson, which a lot of people wish they did. A lot of people who work in fucking offices and stuff, and they're like, you know what, I wish I was just working with my hands. I love building shit.
Yeah.
So
I've met a few people that have done that.
Yeah, I've met people the opposite way as well, who have done trade stuff for 10 years, and they're like, fucking hate this shit.
Yeah,
well, their body's fucked. That's the bad thing about being a tradesperson. It is very wear and tear on the body.
Yeah, it's not the most forgiving.
No.
But it is getting better. It's not as brutal as it once was.
Oh yeah, they're even like with, you say, like bag of concrete used to be like, what was it, like 50 kilos or something? 40 kilos or something?
It's 20
ridiculous.
kilos for your standard bag.
Yeah, but back in the day it was something ridiculous. I remember the guys I worked with, they're like, these used to be 40 kilos.
Yeah.
Fucking sucked. It's like, we were all strong. And I'm like, champ, whatever.
Not that much. The thing is, it is changing the industries, and that's, everything changes all the time. It's a constant, mode of flux with everything, but there's technologies in place, there's, new equipment, there's new methods.
Yeah. The equipment's massive,
and the people are changing in the industry. Like there is that blokey macho aspect to it, of course, but there's definitely more women involved, which I welcome with open arms, because they actually bring a whole new dynamic to the game as well.
Yeah,
which is good. Like because if anything, that blokey thing, it gets a bit tired after a while.
Yeah, I think you either love it or you don't. You know what I mean? It's one of those ones. Like, I don't mind razzing people and like just being the fuck with, just getting the opportunity to roast someone, because that's in my nature. And then I welcome that. I welcome people getting into me. Because I know I can just bring it back. I'm not saying I'm good at it. It's just like, I'm like, all right.
Well, you got to be able to laugh at. Most situations you got to be able to laugh at.
True.
Gives you
even funerals.
I reckon.
Yeah, I did my dad. So the first time I ever. This is the when I say the first time I ever did stand up, I say this as a bit of a joke. It's kind of true. The first time I ever did stand up, I did my dad's eulogy at his funeral.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, people are sad. It's a funeral, obviously. If they were happy, you'd be fucked. I was like, bring some fucking humour to it.
Yeah.
So I made up lies in my dad's eulogy just to make people laugh.
Yeah.
And I made up little, like, monologue-y, like, scenario type shit.
Yeah.
Like, I did a joke about, like, oh, ladies and gentlemen, this is purely fabricated. I started with, like, ladies and gentlemen, I know this is a somber affair. Like, a few months ago, I was doing a speech for one of my mates for his birthday, and I didn't know what to do. I was kind of nervous. So I just asked Dad, and he said, Tait, you have the greatest speech in the world, but if your fly's not done up and your cock's hanging out, they're going to remember that more. And that was totally fabricated, but that was just to put on one side.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was just like, and then I went in, and then they were all like, I wouldn't say upbeat, but everyone laughed. I had a few people come up to me and were like, that's the best eulogy I've ever heard. And I was like, that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted to make people. I'm like, you make these cunts laugh at a funeral.
Bloody oath! Like, I think death is something that's so taboo.
Yeah, I would like to film.
Yeah.
Like this type of scenario, like, ladies and gentlemen, guess what? I'm dead. Like, and then just go into like I would sit down and like just look into the camera and be like, I'm finally dead, ladies and gentlemen. They did it. I was murdered, I guess. I'm not sure. And then just go into like this real random thing and people are like, what the fuck? I should be like a full hologram by then. But probably dead in like 5 years, not once.
I don't know, like...
I think you gotta have fun with it.
Yeah, bloody oath.
I've been to funerals where it's sad. Like, I remember my grandpa had a heart attack, dead, fucking most lovable man in the world, and everyone was just like, crying, fucking this and that. There's no jokes. It was just like, like it was fucked. But I knew my dad's personality, and I was just like, it's probably where I get my sense of humor from. So if you don't like it, we'll dig him up, I guess. But it's just like that. It's just sometimes you got to make the best.
Oh, bloody, and like death and funerals, they are sad.
Yeah,
they are, but they're also something that everyone has to face one day.
It's weird when you meet someone who's like in their 20s and they're like, I've never been to a funeral. I've got all my grandparents.
I'm never gonna die.
Yeah. It's like, alright. It's so weird when you meet people like that and you're like, you're telling me that no one in your family's died? Like I've got one grandparent left.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm the same.
Yeah. It's just one of those ones where unfortunately you never know when it's your time, what's going to happen. But I'm always pretty taken back. I'm like, whoa, like, you're in your 20s and no one's died. No uncle, no fucking this, no that. I'm lucky I've never had like a young kid die in my family.
That I think is like...
That's gonna be a hard one for me to make jokes.
Well, I think that is just naturally very sad when someone
tiny
dies.
little casket. And
yeah, like
it's just like one dude just lifting it up, like
it's just
it's like a pallbearer. He's just got one arm, he's like
like a waiter.
I do a bit stand up about this, but this is another fucking thing that happened in the funeral. I was fucking a pallbearer with my 3 brothers, and my dad had just remarried. Don't even know the fucking guy's name. First time I ever met him. But he was the pallbearer next to me. old school, like they used to have like the no trolley and you used to pick up the coffin.
Yeah.
Now they've got a trolley. And you wheel it all the way.
That's very millennial, isn't it?
All the way to the hearse.
Yeah.
And then you put it in the hearse. But then you got to pick the fucker up once you get to the fucking funeral of the...
I kind of like the idea of just lugging it.
So I'll tell you fucking what happened. So the first part that happened with this, we're wheeling along, there's a crack in the ground, the trolley, like, you know when a trolley's fucking legs, one wheel just spin, and it would just be like, make a bang, and I was like, bang, and I was like, fuck, you're still alive! But I said it like pretty much, it was pretty quiet, like, we could hear it,
yeah.
And then I looked around to see what my brothers were like, how they would have reacted, my biological brothers and shit.
Yeah.
And they were just like kind of like giggling, and then everyone was behind them. I didn't realise that it's a thing at funerals to all walk behind the fucking... You know, your pallbearers in the front, and then you got the fuckers. Or maybe this was just my dad's funeral.
No, I think that is kind of...
You go to them every, like, pretty...
more and more the older
you get. True. It's got it's like doing a podcast, I got 3 a week. So then it was fucking, like, I turned around and everyone was staring at me and I was like, oh, fuck, shit, like, shouldn't have said that. So then we get to...
you knew your dad pretty well.
We get to the fucking cemetery. Then we got to hold the fucking... We got to pick up the... out of the fucking back of the hearse, right? So I'm like... There was... I could see next to the hole where they dug up.
Yeah, with the green...
There was a massive fucking they just literally went and put the dirt just there. So there's a big mound next to the fucking thing. So the dude just had to like get the front end loader and push it in. He was done. And I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, so didn't they think that people would be gathering around that they didn't think? So
the dude, there was a young kid. He was like 16 or 15 or something. And I was like early 20s, 23 or something. And I'm like, oh mate, I'll go this side where all the dirt is. Because I know it's going to be hard and awkward to lift. And I'm like, I'm strong as fuck, Jen.
Sacrifice yourself.
Dad probably didn't tell you, but like, you knew Dad didn't tell you, but I'm strong as fuck. So I've got like the left-hand side. I still remember this like it was yesterday. I'm fucking walking. I have to walk up the fucking soil a bit. Because to get through. Then I fucking slip my leg. You know that little like... There's like a steel frame, and then it's got 2 ropes. Yeah. My leg goes dunk into like
between the frame and
the frame and the dirt, and I'm like, nearly dropped.
You're nearly going in.
I nearly dropped the fucking thing. It's like, and then I regained my composure, and then we put it on, and my brothers were like, you nearly fell into that hole. We nearly buried 2 fucking people, and no one really saw it because they kind of give you a little bit of leeway to like. Get it over, put it on.
Yeah.
And that's
backbreaker, though.
I was going to sue Tuckers or whoever the fuck it was. I was like, Jesus, that'd be mountain climbing, fucking goat boy.
And that is why I'll get cremated.
Yeah. Oh man, that was so fucked. Anyway,
as you nearly went in.
Yeah, 2 fucking stupid things happened. Anyway, touch on the end of. Your own business, because...
Yeah. Well, look, it's just a part of my life. It's not my whole life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but
It doesn't define me.
No, well, it does help. It does help. It molds me to a certain degree. I do deal with a variety of different humans all the time, which I'm really, like... So, in that respect, I'm really grateful that I do what I do, because I get to meet so many different people and hear... I get to know them to a certain degree. Yeah. Which, for my other passion, which is like...
Dancing.
Yeah, dancing in the nude by myself at night. But it allows me to sort of... I don't know, just with songwriting and stuff.
Yeah.
It gives me...
Personal experiences.
It allows me to add depth to the songwriting and stuff like that, I guess. But, so, you know... But I am grateful that I do what I do. There's moments I want to bin it and chuck it in a blender and be done with it, and then there's moments where it's really great, you know.
For the people who don't know what a joiner is, I think that's what I said you were. What would you say that is? What is your actual role in the loose, like just roughly?
Well, what we do, like my business, is typically like 90% of it would be architectural cabinetry in housing, you know, like, but it's not, usually they're just like architectural houses and we do a variety. There might be like 20 rooms in a house that we're involved in, but it's like the cabinetry. And then within that, we do a variety of different other things, but the bread and butter is the cabinetry for builders and architects and stuff like that. So that's the majority of it. But we do a bit of furniture and a bit of odd items and household things. But it's working with. I just love working with timber, mainly.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, so any chance I get to do something like that, we usually try to, grab at it. You know?
Yeah.
No matter what it is, like, and we're actually going to be doing. On a personal side, for a couple of friends and things, we're going to start delving into speaker manufacturing for like hi-fis for like people's houses and stuff. So I wouldn't have brought that. I feel like I'm spruiking it, but
spruik away, mate.
It's something very new.
This is the platform to spruik.
Something very new because it sort of brings two passions together. You know? And like just get a bit experimental with speaker manufacturing.
So would you do that after work? Would you do that at the same time? Would you
to begin with, it'll be after hours, just because it won't bring in any revenue to start with. But it's something that I just feel as though makes sense a lot of the time. You know, and the person that I'm doing it, the people that are involved in it, are all really good at what they do in that realm of audio and things like that. Yeah. So
they're the audio part of it, and you're
I guess my main role will
timber
be
part of it.
Yeah, the main role will be building the cabinet boxes that the speakers sit in and everything. But it's about making the whole piece. So it needs to sound good. Yeah. For starters, and then it needs to look nice. If you're going to put it in your house, you want it to look cool. You know. True. So just making
That's why I opted with the Kmart king size sheets as the backing.
Yeah. And you've
got to
look
good.
By the way, you've done very well.
Yeah.
So
just the right hand side's literally a fitted sheet that I cut the fitted part off and crudely stapled it too because it was too short.
But
So it's got to sound good. You got to make it look good, which is your part. Yeah. So you're the aesthetically pleasing part of it.
I guess to a degree. But the cabinet does it. You need to get your dimensions right for the audio to work as well. There is mathematics involved, I guess. But business in general depends on what your goal is. But for me, you need to have you live, so you got to have a life. You can't just be a machine. Anyway, that's business.
That's fair enough.
And treat people kind. I hate the whole stereotypical business owner that just feels as though they can be an arsehole to get their way. Yeah. And that is very prominent in the world that I know, but I don't buy into that because it makes me I'd rather be kind to people and feel better about myself at the end of the day. Yeah. Then life's easy.
I mean, if you're easy to deal with, and I've had this sort of harp on the stand-up stuff, but I've had people being like, you know what, I like booking you to do shows with us, or give you a spot of 10-15 minutes, whatever it is, because you're easy to deal with. Yeah. You get here early, you have a chat, you have a beer. Yeah. You have a beer after the show. You're not just like rock up. Some people rock up literally 5-10 minutes before the show starts. So you're freaking out. I put on my own nights and you're like, where the fuck are they? Yeah. You know what I mean? You want them sitting there so you can lock eyes with the fucker and be like, you're on next. Yeah. It's really weird. It brings your stress levels up.
Yeah. When people are unorganised.
Yeah, and then people also are like, they know that there's not a lot of times that you'll get paid when you're at that level. And then they're like, oh, so what? Like, do I get any money, like extra money for fuel? And you're like, you know the deal, fuck nut. Like, don't ask for that.
There are a lot of idiots out there.
Oh man, like it's with any type of like. I'm happy with the business side of it. If you want to, we can go into the band. Yeah. So I feel like with like creative industries and stuff, you're getting a whole range of fucking personalities. Yeah. Not the same as anything, but once you delve into the creative side of it, you're like, you're a fucking lunatic. Yeah. People expect so much. For some reason, it's really, really big for stand-ups to not have their driver's license and not have a car. And it's like, how are you getting to the gig that I asked you to come to? Oh, can you pick me up from the train station? You're like, that wasn't the deal. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Because you might need a fucking, like, Aries Inlet lawn, wherever it may be, fucking far out, maybe to a footy club in bumfuck nowhere. And they're like, oh, I can get like to this point. Can you pick me up? And you're like, I have to backtrack half an hour to pick you up. Like you're not worth it. I mean, unless it's a fucking superstar, they're making that like your life hard.
And I'd argue that if they are a superstar, they've probably got their shit sorted a bit more than that.
That's true, but there's still a lot of big comedians that don't have cars. So Mick Malloy and shit like that. Like, he's never had a car forever.
Well, they are. You comedians are an interesting breed in general.
Open micer.
Yeah.
It's a weird one.
But I find the creative industry is filled with a variety of different types, the same as anything, but I think the creative worlds allow, for more outward personalities of these types.
True.
So
you can actually really...
You get more extroverted people, but there's plenty, I know heaps of introverts that are in the creative world.
Yeah, it's weird when you meet stand-ups and they're quite shy and stuff, and they don't chat to you and
Save
stuff.
It all for stage.
And then they get up there and they're wacky and zany and fucking say anything, and you're like, where was this?
Split personality.
Yeah, they're like, I just let it all out on stage, and I'm like, oh, that's so strange.
I find with it's a little bit different, but like music in the, I just like playing music in its purest form of just playing for just the sake of playing. I don't care whether it's recorded or anyone sees it or anything. I just like playing. It's fun. Yeah. It's a thing to do and it's fun. And it's meditative if you actually can get into the zone where you're just dependent on your ears and nothing else. It takes you away from the world you live in, really. It puts you in a different realm. For me, it does anyway. Yeah. When you get into that mindset, it doesn't always happen, but you got to be in the right place and with the right people and whatever. But with the band side of it and like gigging and stuff, it can be, you'll meet really genuine good people in there.
Yes, yeah, I've met some dudes.
And you'll also meet a lot of absolute time-wasting flogs that are just there to make up the numbers. If anything, they clutter the numbers. Yeah. And it's just like, because there's this whole competitive realm in there where people are like fighting for time and space. Like,
it's the exact same as stand-up.
I have very little time. I just don't bother with that. Like, thankfully, within the band that I'm in, like Green Blanket, Cara, she does all that side of like the managing side and the booking. She does all that. I don't think about that stuff at all, thank God, because it would do my head in. So it would take away the fun aspect of it.
So she's organising the gigs?
She organises the gigs. We all collectively, as a band, it's really easy. I'm happy to organise stuff within the band because it's for friends, so that's really easy. But the external stuff with like gigging and all that, and payment, and although we're the worst band at, I probably shouldn't say this because then I'm setting a standard, but we are a very kind-hearted band in that we do not demand payment ever, really.
Yeah, we've chatted about this.
Yeah.
Briefly.
It's probably coming across that money's not a big thing for me.
Yeah, true. When like, my thing is like, I put it out there as like, if you're getting paid, good. Because like, I'm like, I chat to some people and I'm like, no, give stage time, fucking, you gotta get paid and all this type of crap. Yeah. And I'm like, to be honest though, like, I don't consider myself, like, to get paid. Yeah. Like, I would do it for the fun of it.
You undermine what you do a little bit. But there is that aspect of it. But there is the part that I think...
But yours actually you have equipment that costs money. Mine is literally usually rock up to a place, there's a microphone set up with a couple of speakers, and you go, nah, 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 nah. And they go like, get off, fatty.
But the amount of hours you put into a routine, you've worked.
True. I don't have overheads besides fuel, I guess.
Yeah. And I guess it's that creative, what do they call it? That creative property or intellectual property, where you've conceived something in your brain.
True, yeah. It's like, that's why like people obviously like plagiarism within anything is probably bad, but like with stand-up it seems to be like a real in-house, like, this person stole my joke and everyone's like, meh.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen much.
Well, see, that's funny because in the music world, if someone ripped off like a section of song or had a part that I was like, oh, that sounds like ours, I'd be like chuffed. I'd be like, oh,
depends if it's how big you are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like if someone's, let's say Eddie Murphy is doing his new stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then someone fucking nicks it and he's like, that was going to be $10 million from Netflix, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
You're like, fuck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can see it. There's a tangible number. You can see, like, you know, it's fucking
yeah.
But whereas, like, that's why, like, when they go to recordings now of Netflix, you've got to have like these little like baggies that you put your phones in a lot of the time.
Oh, so they can't take photos and film.
Film you and put it online. That's the problem. People
That's
film
kind of cool
everything.
because like it's annoying going to gigs and everyone's just like standing there with their friggin' phone like that, watching something that's
Live,
in the flesh through a screen.
Yeah,
it's like
it's just
but that's their loss. I just say that's their loss, not mine.
I will take a picture of something and be like, I'm here, I'm doing this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's definitely not I've got 10 minutes of these fuckers playing. It's like, mate, go on YouTube. Like, it'll be an actual video.
Yeah.
You know, they make videos for this. It's a music video.
Yeah, that are like way better quality than what
production.
you're
It's not
doing.
some cunt next to you like,
Yeah.
you know where I can get some fucking bickies, man? You know, like, audio's great.
It's so true. It's amazing. And I think most people probably film that shit, put it on their phone, then never look at it ever again.
No, I've got, like, just saying by just the pictures I have on my phone are just so fucking limited and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've never been a big one for social media and stuff like that, but I've definitely gone towards more putting the phone down. When I get home, I just piff it in the bedroom, and I just don't look at it, which is probably why I'm not always the easiest. Like, I'll respond to a message and stuff when I see it, but I'm not. My phone isn't sitting next to me. You know what I mean? I just piff it, and then I'll deal with it the next day or whatever.
That's one way of like living in the moment.
In the now.
I just get bored.
It's less of a distraction.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, you've got a partner, so
you do have things to talk about, though.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, you can just make stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you do.
You really dropped the ball at work today, Cara.
Yeah.
No, but that's what I want to talk about is you work with your partner.
Yeah, and we're in a band.
And you're in a fucking band. It is just it is glued to the hip type stuff.
It's pretty full on. Yeah, and it don't just like sort of fell in that way. I guess we just enjoyed each other's company, so it just happened, I guess. But,
so cute.
Yeah, I know. But it definitely has its moments where
I tune into a lot of like little things that would piss you off over, and it's the same as her. But you all of a sudden you could erupt over something little, or maybe that's just me.
No, I have good duck feathers. I don't.
So it goes up your back, does it?
Yeah, I don't hold on to things very long. I move on
keep
quick.
that. Why I'm so fat is I
just
keep
resentment.
It's full of, my body's full of hate.
Yeah.
I'll stare at one of my toes and I'll be like, I remember when that bitch fucking crossed me. I remember when she didn't put the fucking sweet and sour sauce in my bag.
I reckon I learned that doesn't make me feel any better. So then I move on real quick.
You gotta fucking...
You gotta harbour it.
You gotta have something to keep you through the days.
Yeah. No, I guess that's where songwriting comes in.
Yeah, true. You can...
and then it's off my
stand
chest.
up as well. You could just rant. You could be like... Someone like, you think of someone like Bill Burr or something like that, can just be like, and this, and...
start going nuts.
Yeah.
Oh, I love a rant, don't get me wrong.
I was just nearly going to have the podcast by myself... And I was just going to sit here straight fucking center and I was just going to rant about shit.
You'd end up like, what's that bloody New South Wales, that Sydney DJ?
Sandlands?
Hope not.
Yeah.
Not that guy.
I mean, he's pretty fucking rich.
Alan Jones is
yeah.
You'd end up like that.
Shock jock.
Yeah. You don't want to be that. You're better than that.
I'm really not. I just don't get paid for it. Sorry about that. I clicked the wrong button. It's hard doing this podcast shit, I tell you. So I said I was full of hate and other fucking stuff. Let's jump back a second, Ming.
Yeah.
And go, when did you get into band stuff? Or when did you start playing an instrument?
I was probably, there's a few memories I have, and it was probably, instrument would have been 12, 13, so like year 7. And
what are we playing?
Guitar, and I got
the guitar.
Yeah, well, actually, Dad had a keyboard, but it's just like kids fucking around on it. But But the guitar got lessons for it.
Yeah, okay, so you actually pursued trying to get better.
Yeah, and like, once again, I said, like, standard educational system didn't really work for me. The lessons were alright, but then my teacher that I had went up north to Queensland, and I stopped lessons. Yeah. And then from there, I just kept playing. Well, I ended up playing in a band pretty young. I was about 15 when. What
was the band?
The Stutterers. The Stutterers.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's a good name.
Yeah, it's really like that. There is a huge part of why I am what I am. Like, that was a huge moulding.
Who was in the band? Because you're young. I imagine you're not you're not driving, obviously.
No, I'm the baby of the band.
Yeah. So who's?
So initially it had my oldest brother Chad, who came up with the name and the concept and everything. Yeah. And then it also had James Wilson. Yeah. Who was Willow, one of the like primary songwriters and guitar player. Yep. And then Mark Rademe on drums. Yeah. Like, friggin' legend as well, and just mad dog. And but anyway, it turned out Chad was kind of like tone deaf. He's not. He's just like a bit sporadic and stuff. So, but Shane, my second oldest brother, sort of came in and started playing bass, because Chad couldn't play bass and sing. It was like, because we're all just learning instruments. Yeah. You know? So you all knew. So it was all just figuring it out as we're going. We all kind of like. Raids and Willow and myself had a little bit of experience, from just like. So
there are like the 20s mark, those guys?
Yeah, Shane, Willow and Raids are 6 years older than me. Chad was 8 years older than me.
Okay, so early 20s to.
Yeah, I guess, around that. And then Chad got kicked out. Shane took Chad's spot. Or Chad just stopped coming to...
Drama!
No, he didn't get kicked out. He just stopped coming to practice. You know, and Shane sort of took over.
Is Chad still in your life today? Or does you kicked him out of the family?
No, all good. Chad and I are still best mates. So it's all good. So, but then, then, the Stutterers, like, we just played it was just in garages and at mum and dad's, in the shed, in the garage, and then... We played at the Rademe house in their shed for years. Yep. And then I guess I started getting to the age of... Feels like our first gig was I was either 17 or 16. 17 or 16. Mm-hmm. And we did a house party.
Really?
And we played. I think I was about that age. And then we eventually, that was like really good fun. And I was like nervous as hell.
Yeah.
Like crazy.
How do you can you combat your nerves or anything? Or is
I'm not nervous now.
Okay, so just once it starts, you're like...
Oh, yeah. I got over the nerve thing pretty early.
Because stand up, I'm...
Still
fucking terrified. My heart is like... Especially when you've seen people... When it's a rough night and you see people go shit, and you're like, I'm going up,
Well, that's hard. That's a hard thing. Like, that's like when sometimes they're different a little bit, but the room, like if you're playing with a few bands and the room is just dead quiet.
Yeah.
Or there's like...
How do you know you have... Sorry. How do you know when you have a good gig? Because I said to you, like, off air as we say in the business, that when I do stand-up, that I get instant validation. It's straight away. Like, it's probably one of the only... It's the only fucking thing that you can nearly do. And you know straight away, if the room's fucking pumping and they're yelling and they're not booing and everyone's having a good time, actually, like laughing, or clapping. Clapping's that's the big one. Yeah. So you go for... So when they say, like, applause break, I got, like, 2 or 3 applause breaks. They did, like, 5 or 10 minutes or something. That's a fucking great thing. That is people... Because it's easy to go like this. It's energy to laugh. Yeah. So it's like you sit back and you go,
feel people.
You go like, and then you go and you get actually more and more. And then when people are like, yeah, you're like, that's just involuntary, like fucking, it's real weird. But band, how do you know it's good night?
Well, similar.
Dancing?
Well, for me personally, it's probably different to some other people, but me personally, I just can feel when the music's sounding good. Yeah. The band's tight, we're playing well, despite who's there or what the audience is even like. I can feel when we're playing well.
Yeah.
And we're all vibing and everyone feels the energy and it just works.
Do you ever... How structured is it? Like, does anyone ever just fucking bust out a fucking guitar solo? Are you at that level?
Well, when you're tight, when you're on song and you're doing a tight night, you're playing well.
How many hours?
You have some... How many hours?
Yeah, or how long's a set?
Oh, a set's like typically 45 to an hour.
Okay.
Typically.
So that's crazy.
Sometimes it's half an hour if you're in a big festival environment.
It's pretty crazy when you were saying before that you guys pretty crappy with the payment. And you enjoy doing it. You do it more because you want to fucking
I don't have to do it to make an income.
No. So it's just
that's
pure love. Yeah. Whereas I would like to get paid to... that's my full-time job.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, if someone said we're going to offer you a contract, so you'd probably be like, I'm just going to get like a manager for the fucking joinery or something like that, you know what I mean? And you can kind of like take your foot back, like whatever, however it may be. But it's pretty crazy how I said like you're lugging around all your amp, speaker, fucking everything.
Yeah, there's a lot of equipment.
And then like you guys don't get paid any amount?
Well, we do get paid, but it's a very modest amount.
Yeah.
And then the thing that I find disappointing in this day and age...
They're not giving you at least drinks. Like,
depending on
ridiculous.
The venue. There's some venues where they just sort you out. You don't have to pay for a drink. They'll feed you. And then
they do get paid. That's the like...
And that's I love that. I love that hospitality. Then there's some venues that's like drink tokens and they just give you like 1.5 fucking tokens.
Yeah.
And that's it. You know what I mean? They they look down on you. It's like, oh, sorry we're here to be playing and entertaining people. Sorry
we're making you thousands of dollars.
Oh, I don't know about that. But I guess some people go and buy drinks and stuff.
If they're sticking around and they like the atmosphere, you're building ambience.
Yeah.
That is definitely, like, the nights that I put on stand-up wise, and I've got actively, like, let's say it's 25 of my friends and then another 25 people rock up.
Yeah.
Or 100 people. I did one in Aries, didn't get paid a dime, didn't want to get paid, didn't know how the night was going to go. All of a sudden, I had 120 people there.
Yeah.
That was it. You went to that one.
Yeah, I remember that.
Ages ago, like fucking 2015 maybe.
Yeah, the Aries in that pub.
Yeah. And they made thousands of
dollars.
they
would have killed.
Like, that was just people boozing for like 2.5 hours.
And kicking on, because when you set the vibe, like, say you're playing or you're doing a stand-up at, say, like 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock or something.
Yeah.
You're setting that tone. People want to be there till 2, 3 a.m. You know what I mean? That's like, and if you got 100 people wanting to be there till then, all drinking, say, hypothetically 10 drinks minimum, like pots or whatever.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money for that venue to make.
Yeah.
And I don't, to be honest, I don't really think about that too much.
Yeah. I kind of spruik it to it. So before I left Canada, I wanted to, all my mates are always like, we want to watch you do stand-up. And I was like, I'm only doing open mic nights.
Yeah.
They're trash.
Yeah.
All the ones like, actually, no, that's too harsh. They were hit and miss.
Yeah.
The open mics, because you'll see a lot of people not going that way, and I never fucking went well at them. I'll honestly say that I was always on a lower scale. Some people are just amazing.
Yeah.
You know, and they're not getting any laughs, and you're like a semi-professional comedian or a pro comedian.
But do you find, like, the link I can find there is sometimes you're playing to a half-filled room, right? And there might be like 50 people.
These are pure 98% of the audience is comedians going up on stage.
Yeah,
so there'll be 30 people, and I always say it's a cook making a meal for chefs.
Yeah.
So they're like, you should have used more salt, you should have done this. And then they're thinking about how they would cook chicken and whatever else. Yeah. And it's just this fucking...
brutal.
So they're not thinking about your shit. So never ever take... Like, if you kill an open mic, you're like, become a fucking professional. Because if you're killing, you get to that point.
There are differences, but the link, like the similarity I find with band is what you get judged on heavily is like your appearance as much as some other things, which I don't buy into personally.
Yeah, I don't get that.
But you do, like, you know, it's like you could have the coolest fucking haircut going around and play guitar like a piece of shit and sound like crap. And yet you got a cool haircut. People are like, oh, Jimmy looks so sexy. You know, like, you'd have a girl dancing in the front of this, and then all of a sudden, what I was going to say before is like, it only takes, it just takes 2 people to come up to the front of stage. Like, you might have half a room that are sitting back in the shadows.
Yeah, they do that a lot.
And people are sheeple. But you have two people that come forward and start grooving to it, especially if they're like attractive women. That does help for people. Cause,
me just like,
well,
yeah, Maxi boy!
Yeah. But you know, the night skate, like dudes are out to try and, you know, I'm not blowing anyone's mind here. This is like the ins and outs of
guys go to finger
life.
girls.
Yeah.
Finger bang,
but then
bang.
all of a sudden you'll have the dudes that try it. They're like, oh, well, that girl's up there. There is
just dance their way in.
But, you know, I actually just don't. That's where, when we're talking about what makes you think you have a good gig, is like how you play.
Yeah.
More so than what's out in front of you. It's more about what happens on stage. But for me, that is. But I know I've definitely had experiences where the audience was into it and you vibe off that energy.
Yeah.
And it is heaps of fun.
Yeah.
You know, but you might not play the best gig of your life.
You get to the stage where you can be a total piece of shit. You know when you watch bands, and you never really see this in stand-up, and it's one of the few industries you'll see, but you'll see like a band member just like fucking spitting on people and being shit, like the biggest cunt, and like any other time you're like, someone would stab you. But for some weird reason, because like they're into it, the crowd's just like, oh, they're like throwing their beers at the people in the crowd and shit, and you're just like, what the fuck? I've never seen it in person. I don't go to many music gigs, but I've definitely seen videos of like, maybe that's more of a metal punk type thing.
Google G.G. Allen.
G.G. Allen. And
then you might get people like, you know, just he's a specimen that used to like poop and stuff like that. What? Pretty disgusting sort of critter. But,
and he sang for a big band?
No. He was unsuccessful, but he was more successful in death.
Okay.
And it was more his antics that he was just like this. Yeah. He just didn't care about living. He was a unit.
Yeah.
He's someone I'd be very terrified to meet if he was alive, you know.
That's the thing that it's probably the same with anything, but I feel like there's this standard with bands a lot that when they're in this group and they're getting interviewed and stuff like that, that there's always like, oh, we don't give a fuck about that. Like they're very nonchalant and trying to dismiss the people, and they're like, people want to hear you talk about stuff. You know what I mean? It's half the battle. Like, you want to be good with every part of it. Don't be this. Maybe it's just the Australian way of like getting the arrogance beaten out of us, like tall poppy syndrome.
There might be people that are just shy.
Yeah, but sometimes you just.
And then sometimes it is just people that think they're Lou Reed.
I think I think a lot of people just think they're the.
But not everyone.
Bee's knees. Oh no, definitely not everyone. It's just things that I see with just bands when I watch little things online and stuff sometimes.
And there's probably sometimes I think with bands they might be hungover as well.
Yeah, true. It must be pretty rough being because it's a fair bit of work.
It is a lot of work and practice and even like we wouldn't do it unless we didn't enjoy it. But like, you practice frequently. Writing songs takes a lot of effort. Yeah. And there is a lot of work involved in it that goes unrewarded, depending on what your definition of reward is. For me, it's just rewarding just to see a song get off the ground and it make its own shape and develop in its own way.
How do you... Sorry to fucking like jump into this one. It was just a thought that jumped in, but I know there's certain ways that stand up to like people, they work towards something, you know, like I'll do this, I'll get competent, I'll do live shows, I'll get a backing. The end all seems to be like some sort of fucking Netflix deal or something like that.
Yeah.
So how do you guys go, like, how do people get played on the radio? Because I always hear, like, you hear a band sometimes or a person singing in a pub and you're like, this guy's brilliant, or this girl's brilliant. I would rather listen to her than fucking some shit song. Like, do you have to have a manager and then they just fucking hound these radio stations, or is it all of a sudden they put it on YouTube now and then it gets a certain amount of fucking views and then like how's the
look?
Is there any way that you know?
Well, yeah, there's ways to do it, and it definitely is. It's a tricky old thing to try and tap into that zeitgeist all the time because it's a hit and miss thing. But I don't think we've ever really done it. Like, I've never been a part of something that's been hugely popular as such. It's been popular enough that people buy albums off us and stuff, but I think there's a few methods. One is you do just bombard a radio station. I would definitely start with like community radio station to begin with. Start small. Not that but they're the best ones. They're the ones with the most character and diversity. Like, and it depends on what your niche is. If you want to be Beyonce, then you probably do have to like get a manager and do all that stuff.
You ever thought about manager type stuff, or you guys are just happy to purely?
Well, Kara's our manager.
Yeah, like you're paying. You don't see like some managers seem to have like I'm the manager to like this person, that person, that person.
Yeah,
they just have all those connections.
Being
and
a part
stuff.
of like a label as such.
Yeah,
there is that aspect, but then it's finding the right label because certain labels
don't want to
have an aesthetic that they want to try and maintain. Our band's pretty weird in that we kind of don't fit a mould either.
So do you have? What would you characterise your band as in genres?
Genre-wise?
Yeah. It's multiple?
Look, I guess it's sort of garage, rock and roll, psych. It's a bit of this, that and the other. Like, I don't know.
All your songs, you don't have a trend? You can jump from or...
No, definitely no trend. There might be some concepts that seep in for certain songs or whatever, but there's never a trend as such.
If people are curious about the band, how would they listen?
Well, easy if you just if you go to Dr. Google and you just punched in Green Blanket Band, there'd be a whole variety of stuff that pops up.
Is it come up on YouTube or Facebook?
There's YouTube,
Instagram?
YouTube, Bandcamp, SoundCloud, all that sort of stuff. Spotify. We're on there. It's available to the public. Like, we're not that esoteric. But in saying that, you're not going to hear us on K-Rock. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, but some people like it, some people don't. That's life.
It's everything. That's you're never going to have everyone.
But I don't make an art, I don't call it art, but I don't make something for other people's enjoyment as such. As egotistical, as self-centered as that sounds, I just do it because I feel the urge to do it. Yeah. And then whatever the end result is, that's it. Yeah. Take it or leave it. And if you like it, I'm chuffed. I'll share 28 drinks with you that night if you like. Maybe not, because I'll die tomorrow. Yeah. But, it's just... I do things in the creative realm purely because I like doing it. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's... I think longevity, I guess... Or Jeopardy, or whatever. Longevity is if you enjoy it, you're gonna keep doing it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm never not gonna be playing guitar and writing stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's fucking.
I'll do that till I can't do it.
Please.
Bing, bing, bing. All after Riddick.
Kids are like, "Here comes a pillow, Maxie."
Yeah.
She said you didn't want kids, so it's
it'll be my nephew and nieces will be doing it.
Cohen.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, how many albums or what's an EP?
EP.
Otherwise, there's so much
extended play. It's just short. Usually, it's to express maybe 2 songs or a song.
Is that a little taste tester?
Usually, a lot of time.
Would they send that to the radio, or would they just be like, "We just want to get this out"?
Yeah, you might say a band that had studio time. They might record 15 songs, right, or do 15 sort of things. 12 of which will make the album. Mm-hmm. And then 3 of which are in the bin. They might release an EP with maybe 1 of the singles from the album, and then they'll put maybe 2 of those garbage bin songs in the EP. Oh. Sometimes. Yeah. There usually is 1 song on an EP that will then be in the album.
So that's to hook you?
But not always.
Okay.
Sometimes an EP just stands alone by itself. Like, there's some really... I don't buy EPs very often, but I've got a couple that are really good in their own right, but they're nearly to the point where they're kind of an album. They're not so much an EP. Or they call them, there was this term that got thrown around called a mini album, which I don't really like. It's like, let's not create these little half genres. Come on, let's just stick to the
2.
Because it just gets a bit pedantic otherwise, and I think you shouldn't overcomplicate things sometimes that can just be simplified. But an EP for me, I've never really felt that. Well, I did one with the Starters, did an EP.
Yep. So you have let's say 12 songs or whatever, or actually EP's short, isn't it?
Its length is more. So an EP might be like half an hour and under, or 20 minutes or something like that.
And then on the fucking camera.
Yeah, and then an album is around 40 minutes. Sometimes you have an album that's like. There's bands that do albums that go for 2 hours and stuff. Yeah. So it's a double disc, you know. But that terminology like EP and LP, that only came out with the advent of vinyl.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, before then it was just writing music for live performances and stuff like that. And then they thought, if we can fit this amount of time on a wax disc, and we can sell it, let's start making albums, which I love albums. I think it's a perfect amount of time usually to get your head around something.
Yeah.
And I love the idea that it tells a story in time of when the album was written or whatever. Yeah. Like, I do love an album, I've got to say. Like, that's the way I listen to music.
How many albums does Green Blanket have?
We've got 2.
Okay.
Full length.
How do you go about writing an album? Like, so I'll skip a few steps. You've written the album, you've done the songs live, you've become confident, you know how they like it, how you like it, sounding good, you're comfortable, you record. Yeah. Is it expensive?
So yeah,
how do you record it?
There's a few questions.
Like, could you just plug in this fucking?
You can do whatever the hell you want. You can record on your phone if you want. Okay. And have a crack at that. First album we did. I'll do this quickly. Yeah. First album we did, we recorded. We played them live. We had the songs. They're just songs we wrote. Yeah. We started the band. We started writing songs. We got to a point where let's record this, make an album. You know. Second time round, we were like, we were still gigging, but we're gigging the old songs, and at the same time we were writing new songs, but we weren't gigging them live, and then we recorded them. When, unfortunately for us, and it was no big deal, but unfortunately when the album was ready to drop, which we did, COVID came in, so we actually had about 12 shows booked in that all. So
is this like your biggest year?
We had a lot of shows booked, and they all got cancelled because of COVID. But
how many shows would you roughly average or like to do a year at the moment?
Well, it depends. Like, sometimes you have strands where you will do 1 to 2 a week. You know, and that's we all work full time, doing other jobs. You know what I mean? So that's like stretching. Yeah. That is testing when we're doing that. Yeah. I like doing one every fortnight or something like that. But even then, it gets in the way of a lot of other things. It's a big commitment being a band.
And it's also, the thing is, going back stand-up, doing stand-up, it's me. If I'm saying busy, it's because I'm busy. Yeah. If I'm free, I'm free. Or, you know, like I've cancelled things to do gigs because I want to do them, and I'm like, too bad, Mum. You're going to be 60 again, it's fine. Yeah. But then, like, you'll get, like, yourself, and 3 of the band members are free, and someone's not. Someone has a wedding.
That happens.
Queensland, so you have to cancel. So that's the thing that would be testing.
It does happen, but, like, the beauty of Green Blanket as a unit is, and the same with the Stutters, is we're actually like friends. Okay. So we actually just love catching up, and everyone loves the band from what I gather. It's really rewarding to get together, make something that we feel as though is unique. That's another thing I think that drives us, is trying to do things that we haven't maybe heard before. Yeah. But, you know, it is guitar-based music at the end of the day. Like, there's a lot of rock and roll bands out there.
That's it. Like, it's pretty hard to reinvent the wheel, as you would say. Like, it's, like, you want to be your own, and at the same time, if you're like, you can't be.
If you go,
I mean, you're playing a fucking instrument that other people play.
You can go so far out there that it's just diarrhea in the ear holes. Yeah. And, you know, I do that from time to time, but you got to.
Have you ever written a song or done some sort of, I don't know what you call, like a certain
riff,
whatever, and people are like, that is shit. Stop it.
No one's ever said that to me in person, but I'm sure they're saying it to me.
But no one in the band.
Two others behind.
In the band, no one's ever like, "Hey, I feel Max, we've had a chat and like the 17 minutes of being going dun, 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 dun,
No,
dun,
it's never behind the back. It's always pretty upfront with everyone. We're all pretty honest and earnest, but it's more like, oh, that wasn't working.
Yeah.
But we know when it's not working.
Yeah,
like I know when it ain't sounding right, and then I don't want to do it again.
Yeah.
My ears are developed enough. I've been listening and playing music for a long enough time to know when things fit well and when they don't. Because sometimes obscurity does fit well within the certain context that it's being played in, and then sometimes it is too forced and it's too jarring and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But your ears should pick up on that. It's audio at the end of the day.
Yeah, true. That's one of the good things that a lot of your... Do you record much? Like just in-house, like something this, and you're like, oh, I'm just going to go through this.
Yeah.
Just
if we're working on new songs, we will record, whether that's just with like an iPhone just piffed in the middle of the room.
Yeah,
I've got a little field mic that's really handy.
Yeah.
Little Zoom H5 or 4 or whatever it is. Or H6 maybe. But anyway, that thing's really handy, and it's good quality for what it is.
Yeah.
Like it would essentially do what this is doing right now.
Yeah, I actually bought one of those, and
yeah.
Then I was like, actually, you've got the mics and everything. You don't need that bit, but it was just an extra if I ever had to interview anyone. But
but it's all in all, it's a very enjoyable thing to do. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, that is a good point you make. I'm just trying to think if there's any fucking questions off the top of my melon that I want to ask.
Squeeze in there.
Yeah, an hour and 51 minutes in. I think if it gets to the point and I can't think of things off the top of my head, that's probably a good time to fucking... Unless you want to add anything?
Not really. I think it's been a fun process to just have a chat rather than old mate.
Well, that's it. It's good to like learn things about. Like every time I've done this, I've learnt shit about my friends. So they're like, "Oh no, we did this and this," and I'm like, "I've known you for fucking 20 years, and I did not know that you fucking were allergic to peanuts." Like, it's just
you get the peanut butter out next time.
It's just dumb. It's just weird stuff. But, well, anyway, I think we're done, ladies and gentlemen. Cool. Thank you for listening. If you're still there, Maxie, thank you so much.
No, thanks for having me.
This has been episode 5 of Tait Talks, and if we're lucky, there might be episode 6. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much. Wave at the camera. Wave at the camera.